What's going on, everyone? Thank you for watching another episode of Insightful Principles. In today's content, I want to talk about the looming debt ceiling that's coming up here in the near future. There actually is a deadline by June 1st of when Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has came out and talked about how that will be at that time when the government will actually run out of money to pay their bills. So I really want to just throughout this video talk about what the debt ceiling is, what to expect, and also just some of the ramifications if it isn't raised. I know there has been a lot of talks and the negotiations are now in progress at the moment. So it does seem like a resolution will be developed, but want to kind of give you all just kind of an overview of what's going on and let you know what to expect moving forward in the future. But as always, if you could please do me a huge favor, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. And don't forget to hit that notification bell below so you can be notified every week when I drop content. Now, you may ask, what exactly is a debt ceiling? How is it determined? What usually is that process? And essentially, the debt ceiling is a legislative limit that Congress actually sets of how much national debt that can be incurred by the U.S. Treasury. And in result, this ultimately determines how much money that the U.S. government can borrow for different legal obligations, whether it's Social Security, military salaries, pension payments, any type of, like I mentioned, military spending, and also when it comes to interest payments on bonds. That's a very important obligation that the U.S. government has, and then also when it comes to tax refunds. Now, the debt ceiling was first introduced in World War One, back in the early, I want to say, 1920s, 1930s, and this was really utilized to help support the war efforts. And the modern debt limit was first established in 1939. And since then, the ceiling has been raised on numerous different occasions, and Congress has actually had to act 78 separate times to permanently raise, temporarily extend, or they have revised the definition of the debt limit. And 45 times it has been raised under Republican presidents, and then lastly 29 times under Democratic presidents. Now, failing to increase the debt ceiling, it can have major economic consequences, and some of those are essentially it will cause the government to default on its legal obligations, meaning they wouldn't have any more money to be able to pay their bills, which you think of yourself as a person that has a budget that are paying your bills on a month-to-month basis. Imagine being in a place where you don't have enough income coming in on a monthly basis to cover those outstanding bills. Essentially would not be a good picture. Now, like I mentioned, with the Social Security, the Medicare, the interest payments on bonds, and even pension payments, a lot of these things can be delayed due to them not being able to raise the debt limit. So this is a very important issue and a concern that is weighing heavy on Congress, the Treasury, the government. And like I said, the negotiations are still in progress, but we definitely are nearing when that deadline is approaching. Now, I know also that when it comes to the delay of missed payments on bonds, this is one thing that can really play a major factor when you think about long-term bonds and you think about treasury notes and all of these different things. It can create potentially issues with that if the debt limit isn't raised. And then also when you talk about missed payments on Social Security and pension payments, this can make it very difficult for Americans out there that are actually relying on these government-sponsored programs. Now, raising the debt ceiling doesn't mean that it's encouraging more spending from the government, but essentially what it does, it gives the government the ability to be able to raise more funds so they can be able to cover some of these major legal obligations that I've mentioned. Now, the most recent debt ceiling fight was resolved back in 2021 when President Biden, he actually signed the legislation raising the debt limit by $2.5 trillion, which it increased it to about $31.4 trillion. Now, if you go to usdebtclock.org, when I checked this the other day, it has showed that the national debt right now in the U.S. is actually $31.7 trillion. So you can already see the limit was set for 31.4, but we're at 31.7. So really time is of the essence. And, I think that it's going to have to get handled. And most likely, as I've been watching more of the recent news, they have stated that they are still going, most likely they are confident that there's not going to be a default. They're going to raise the limit. Now, as far as how much they're going to raise it to, that's yet to be determined. But as always, I will keep you all updated as this continues to unfold. But I thank you all so much for watching this video. That wraps it up for this one. And continue to like, subscribe, and share this video. If you're listening on the podcast, continue to rate, leave a review, and don't forget to hit that notification bell below so you can be notified every week when I drop content. And I thank you all so much for watching, and take care.